going on YouTube? Welcome to another video. Joining me here for a leg day, starting off with sumo deadlifts. Normally I don't like pulling on the platform. I'm a very to the floor, staple type of dude, but I think it was busier or whatever. I don't know. Honestly, filmed these videos so far in the past, I forget what the actual context was. All I care about is the weight moved, and it's moving pretty well here. And yeah, I think I edited this quicker than I intended. These reps are going, and yeah. I usually don't like to do too many reps warming up on deadlifts, just get to the weight I need to be. And yeah, that should have been a sign right there that this probably wasn't going to go as planned. 455 should have moved faster, 495 a little bit better. But this is also, man, I was struggling with some deadlift stuff you'll see here. Lockout, and that's kind of the basis for the belt no longer being in play on conventional. It's a lot worse on conventional, where I like literally cannot get the lockout. It's just kind of in the way. Sumo a little bit easier because I am closer to the bar, and yeah, these are not moving like I normally move them. So should have known to cut back, but we did what we needed to do. Hit those heavy singles and kind of moved on here. SSB, and I think, man, I can't. It's hard to tell when there's no windows in the vicinity. You can kind of see it's daylight out, but yeah, I mean, this must be Tuesday. See, I don't even remember half the time. I'm pumping out so many videos in training, and I'm just like, damn, what's going on? But yeah, all basically just doing my typical leg day stuff. There's going to be a squat variation, a leg variation, and then other things to get extra volume or whatever. So started to notice some issues with mobility when it came to the flats. So recently I made the change back to the heels. I find that I alternate. I'll usually overdo it on one and then I'll switch back to the other, but the heels have been making a little bit of a difference with the getting to depth and everything. And I think sometimes if you just overdo it, you start building like fatigue and stress in certain areas of the body, and you need to kind of relieve it, whether it's like a deload or just cutting back from the movement. But I like barbell squatting, so we're just going to transition there. And I think it was hamstring for sure. My hamstrings tend to get tight. And with the flat shoes, you don't have that additional ankle angle where it's a little bit, it's not as easy to get the depth. So it's definitely going to be more of a hinge back or whatever. So that's kind of what was going on there. And then the belt squat here. I think if I can recall during this workout, I was not feeling too great. Everything was kind of moving. So I kind of undershot the belt squat here because I can do a lot more, and I was just, you know what, let's slow down. Let's not do, go so hard, which you can do. You can always vary your intensity. I try to hit some sort of rep range, and then I'll adjust if necessary. It is what it is. Again, it's lifting. It's not freaking rocket science. You're going to feel not so great sometimes, and you really just have to just power through and make sure you can get the work done when you need to get it done. And that's always been the name of the game here. And I'm forgetting, just like watching back and like looking at how long these sets take to complete, especially when you're doing sets of 10 to 12. In the moment, it's terrible and awful because you're feeling the stress of it, and it's like time stands still when you're lifting as such. So, whatever. But work getting done, and you'll notice in these upcoming videos I'm rotating exercises out when I'm not happy with like what's going on, which is great to have a gym like this. You can progressively overload on a new piece of equipment you haven't worked out on before. Get some new stimulus, change things around, figure out what kind of works for you. Obviously, you want to make sure that your heavy compounds are done. That's going to be the bulk of the strength focus, and then everything else is just for fun. So it's nice to have the lying leg curl. It's a good stretch. I like it better than the seated one. The seated one, I don't know. It doesn't hit the same angle. I think it's honestly the curvature of that kind of like preacher arc, and I think you just get a more intense contraction, similar to like when you're doing bicep curls. Doing some hybrid rows here and using the deadlift bar. I think the other bars were taken. And so the deadlift bar is thinner, a little bit more whip. It is easier to come off the ground, so you have to be careful with rows because sometimes that bar will straight up whip and bend, and you have to be very careful with that. Sometimes you'll not hyperextend, but you'll overextend past your range of motion. And with the thinner bar, it's easier to grip when deadlifting, but when doing reps and kind of really get that transaction, jeez, my cashier, contraction, it's like not even the same word. It's a little bit more difficult to get that. I feel the stiffer bar allows for a little bit more contraction, just more material to hold on to, more surface area to really get those lats engaged. And obviously this is better for the deadlift. It's a thinner bar, a little bit more bend. You can pull from a more advantageous position. But yeah, a deadlift bar, it's good to have. And then doubling up and just doing barbell rows here. But I'm telling you, it does feel different. You're going to touch a little bit in a different spot because of the thickness of the bar. I forget the diameter difference, but thinner of a bar, so a little bit different of a contraction. So anytime you make changes, I mean, again, not night and day, but you really just have to figure out, be adaptable, be able to do the things that you need to do and kind of go from there. So a bar is a bar essentially, and it's just weight and stimulus. Doesn't really matter. As long as you're healthy and not getting injured, you should be good to go. And then this is the Avenger row here. This thing is really interesting. It's a lot harder than you'd think. I thought I could load up a bunch of plates, but there's a balancing act to it. It's very strange. There's a pad that you're leaning into, and then you're essentially rowing. But man, I think the fulcrum at the front though, it's a really long of a distance arm, and it was a little bit humbling working up on it. But I always like that with exercises because when I can add weight and I've got a goal, I mean, it's kind of cool to do. You can see the benefits and the growth there. Like, that's what drives all that. Anything hard that you're doing and trying to get better at, like, that's the key there. Get that growth, add that weight, add those reps, and you're guaranteed to see progress and stuff there. So, quicker of a workout here. Just sometimes the gym's busy, but there's everything there. Like, comment, subscribe. See you in the next one. Thank you.
Thanks for watching the latest video. If you want to help support the channel, I actually own my own wet shaving and grooming e-commerce website where everything's handmade by me. It's www.apexsoaps.com, and you can get a 10% off code using wet shaver. We've got some cool scents here. We've got some Coca-Cola scents, a horchata scent, traditional barbershop, just some really cool stuff. And you can purchase samples or you can buy the whole set. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out via email. Be quick to respond. Thanks for watching.